All right, Black Goose TV family, y'all see that joint right here next to me? Jermall Charlo versus Sulecki is the next upcoming fight for the older Charlo twin brother. I'm not going to spend too much I'm not going to spend too much time when it comes to this particular topic because everyone's already talked about this joint. This is like top news when it comes to the day because Showtime went ahead and they did the reveal of their upcoming fights for their pay-per-views of the year. Obviously, one of them was Sulecki versus Charlo. And obviously, the reason why this is such big news because we talked about how yesterday it was confirmed Munguia versus Jermall is not going to happen, even though it was being heavily reported they were in talks. That came down to the fact that there was some type of dispute when it came to where they wanted to broadcast it pay-per-view wise. But also there's speculation out there of whether or not Jermall Charlo and his team PBC ended up, just declining the fight, period, because it didn't make sense. Or, there's also, the conspiracy theorists saying really Oscar De La Hoya, he messed up the bag and Jaime Munguia, excuse me, isn't really ready for Jermall. Like, I actually, and make sure you guys always check that out. I always post questions for you guys in the community board. So make sure you guys check it out because I love to see you guys' opinion. But, as of now, a lot of you guys are saying Oscar De La Hoya is the one who fumbled the bag when it came to this particular situation, which is interesting. I actually think a lot of people just don't like Oscar De La Hoya, which I don't blame you. Oscar De La Hoya is probably one of the most unlikable motherfuckers next to probably Bob Arum. And I actually think Oscar De La Hoya is more unlikable than Bob Arum. That's my opinion. But like I said, I'm not going to spend too much time on this right here because everyone's talking about it. But I did want to go ahead and let you guys hear my opinion on it and then obviously get your guys' opinion and see how you guys feel about it. Now, Charlo versus Sulecki is not a fight that I am looking forward to. It's a fight that I watch, but it's not a fight that I'm looking forward to. It's also very interesting when you have a guy like Jermall Charlo and his team. They basically don't talk about Andrade. Look, look, I was just watching highlights of Andrade when I was at work, right? And it's always very interesting because, Andrade is, the boogeyman of the division, or that's what a lot of his fans like to say. I'm one of his fans, so I like to say it as well. And since he had such a small fan base, but that fan base is fucking hardcore, similar to Keith Thurman's, you'll have a lot of people go to his videos and things just to hate, right? They'll say, there's no way this guy can fight Canelo. He throws bad looping hooks and da-da-da-da, all that bullshit. I'm actually thinking about doing a video strictly on reading through Andrade's comments on his fight because it's like 80% of motherfuckers hating. It's crazy. But let me not get too sidetracked. The reason why I personally want to, talk about this particular fight being made is that you have someone like Jermall Charlo who, necessarily doesn't say Andrade's name ever, even though we know Andrade has been calling out, both the Charlo brothers for I don't know how long. It was maybe as recent of this year where you finally heard Jermall say, hey, yeah, I'll fight you. Let's make it happen. He finally responded, but it was, short. He didn't really press on it too much, and it didn't really pick up any traction either. If you want to be 100, but I also think that was the point and the reason why he didn't really follow up with too much, back and forth with Andrade. He just kind of said that, then he left it to be. But it's interesting that if it is brought up to him, he disregards Andrade and makes it seem like he's not on his level. But my guy Andrade already fought Sulecki, embarrassed him for 12 rounds. Sulecki is the thing about Sulecki. He's got, and I was thinking about this when this was made. I was like, Sulecki is one of those motherfuckers who's, if he stays in that division, he can always get a fucking title shot because he's such a tough opponent that it makes for a good fight for you building up one of your 168ers, or your 160s, I should say, excuse me. You can build up off of Sulecki. He's fought some really good guys. He gave some really good guys, some good work. But at the end of the day, if you watched him against Andrade schooled him for 12 rounds. In the last 2 rounds, Andrade was playing with him, right? So, excuse me. It's funny to me, ironic. It is what it is. It's business. I'm not going to sit here and say ducking or anything like that. Y'all know I don't play that game. Y'all know I don't be on that bullshit. I understand that. But as far as looking at it from the inside, outside in, understanding the business aspect of everything and all this bullshit, it's I'm not interested in this fight, man. Jermall Charlo versus Sulecki doesn't interest me at all. I like shit. At least pick someone that I really don't know, but has a stylistic matchup that will give Charlo problems. But they learned from the last fight because the last fight I didn't really know who guy was, but his stylistically he was a bad matchup. So they're like, okay, let me go with Sulecki, who we know Sulecki. He's gonna brawl and he's gonna punch, but at the same time, he's not going to come at Charlo with, aggressive combination punches and stay in his face. Both of the Charlo brothers have problems facing opponents who stay right there in front of them, hit them with combination punches, have high stamina, and are able to take a punch. They have trouble. They've shown to lose like from the eye test, both of them have lost to opponents who have that stylistic matchup. Obviously, on their record, it doesn't show. Obviously, they give them the W, but from the eye test, they have shown to lose against those type of stylistic matchups. Okay. Once again, I'm going to say it again. They didn't actually get the L, but if you watched the fight, you knew who won. All right. So let's get into this real quick. I'm not going to talk too much about it. Like I said before, Charlo versus Sulecki to headline Showtime card June 18th at venue to be determined in Houston. All right, Plan C for Jermall Charlo was revealed Tuesday by PBC and Showtime. Those partners announced in a joint press release that unbeaten WBC middleweight champion will make an optional defense of his 160-pound crown against Sulecki on June 18th. Showtime will televise Charlo and Sulecki as a 12-round main event from venue to be determined. Charlo's hoped to end a long layoff by challenging Canelo Alvarez in Super Middleweight Championship match May 7th in Las Vegas. The Mexican superstar ultimately chose to move to the backup. Wasn't really the backup. They're both on the table, so they're not backups at all. With Alvarez contractually tied to DAZN at least through the end of the year, Charlo's handlers turned their attention toward another Mexican opponent, Jaime Munguia. PBC founder Al Heyman thought he had a deal in place last week, and Showtime's main event for June 18 or at some point in July. Representatives for PBC and Oscar De La Hoya's Golden Boy promotions also discussed pay-per-view options for Charlo Munguia, whether it was distributed by Showtime, DAZN, or both. Putting that fight on pay-per-view would have drawn backlash from consumers who have grown increasingly frustrated by overuse of the expensive platform. Ultimately, negotiations ended without the consumption of the deal for Charlo Munguia. Heyman then turned his attention over the weekend to finalize a deal for Charlo and Sulecki. So, real quick, I'll say this. Warsaw Sulecki has lost only a pair of 12-round unanimous decisions to former WBO middleweight champion Andrade and one-time IBF middleweight champion Daniel Jacobs. So we got it, man. It is going to be happen. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything here for you guys. All right, yeah, so it's going to be happening. So that's kind of the story. That's what we got going on. I know you guys have heard it basically everywhere else. What you're not going to hear from me here is bashing Jermall Charlo in the sense of, oh, he's scared. Another bad. Like, why would you fight him? How does this get you closer to Canelo? I don't believe that. At the end of the day, business is business. If the fight makes sense ultimately, then the fight makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I'm not interested in this fight. I'm going to watch it, but I'm not interested. I don't think it does anything for Jermall Charlo's career. You got a guy in David Benavidez who's fighting someone like David Lemieux, which I respect heavily. You got, Demetrius Andrade. I don't know who Zach Parker is, but fuck, he's putting his money where his mouth is, and he's moving up to super middleweight, and he's doing it against a fucking undefeated dude in Zach Parker, who's also young, big, 28 years old. So I respect it. I see these guys trying to put their name in the Canelo sweepstakes. And I'm like, okay, do your thing. Even Jaime Munguia, he's going to be fighting Carlos Adams. Carlos Adams is a fucking he's a dark horse when it comes to 160. That dude, watch his fights. He's good. So and then seeing Jermall Charlo fight Sulecki, I'm like, why does it make me want to invest in you and make me want to see you against Canelo when you have these other guys, taking a step up in competition so people notice them? That's my personal opinion. My personal opinion only matters so much. It really is all about y'all personal opinion, Black Goose family. So please let me know what you guys think in regards to this particular fight being made. Are you guys interested in this at all? How do you guys feel about, ultimately, Charlo PBC picking Sulecki over Munguia? Obviously, it's not specifically because of the matchups, but it's just because, negotiation power, money, and keeping it all in-house, basically. So let me know what you guys think. Drop your comments below. I want to know your opinion on this. And as always, subscribe to the channel if you're not part of the family. And as for now, I'm out this motherfucker.